Today we're going to talk about Jalen Hurts and the part of his game that needs to be fixed by Lincoln Riley. And all that's coming up after the bumper.
What do you mean you don't subscribe to my son's YouTube channel?
Mama, no!
Just snap the damn ball, RJ.
What's up, kinfolk? It's RJ Young. I am not on a step mill. Consider hitting the like and subscribe button because I upload a video every single day. It's always OU related, college football related, sports related. We have a good time, and today I want to talk about Jalen Hurts, the passer. Now, we all know that Jalen Hurts is dynamic in the run game, and he's very, very powerful, and that is a calling card to his game. So much so that you could say that his ability to run in 2016 and even 2017 was a big reason for why Alabama was so good, and they were able to ride him into really college football playoff. And then you saw Tua Tagovailoa do what he did, and you could see the difference in why Nick Saban made the change from Jalen Hurts, who was 26-2 as a starter, to Tua Tagovailoa, who hadn't started much anything up until they made the change. And it seemed that everybody saw why Tua Tagovailoa was the guy in the second half against Georgia, but I'm not sure that everybody saw the same thing. And I really want you to think about this as we go forward. And why would Nick Saban trade in a really great quarterback, a Heisman Trophy caliber quarterback, a guy that led him to a national championship and basically did everything but win in the second half against Georgia, for Tua Tagovailoa, a guy that was taught to throw the ball from the other side of the field, right, from his left hand, and a dude that really hadn't proved anything to anybody on the field at Alabama, despite what you might think about him coming out of high school. And it comes down to really a statistic that I found fascinating. One is Tua Tagovailoa was very, very good under pressure, and he's been very, very good under pressure. He can see the field, and he can also take you apart, right? That's what you need out of a quarterback. But he was devastating down the field, so much so that you could say his flaw is that he holds the ball a little too long when he was throwing the ball down the field. And when you picked him off, he either already had made his mind up or he threw into contested coverage, all right, expecting his guys to make a play. With Jalen Hurts, you got a little bit of a different story. And it's actually to Dan Enos' credit, and this is from my buddy Daniel over at College Football Nerds. He said, hey, look, there's a discussion point that we need to bring up here, which is that there might not be a whole lot else to do with Jalen Hurts' game. He might just be this guy, for which you're going, okay, well, Lincoln Riley is not Dan Enos, and Lincoln Riley put 2 Heisman Trophy winners on the podium and #1 overall draft picks in the draft at quarterback. And I think the argument that you might make is those dudes were much better at all areas of the field making passes. Like, we knew that Baker Mayfield was preternatural when it comes to accuracy. We didn't know that Kyler Murray was too, and he got to put that on display last season. Now with Jalen Hurts, are you going to get the same sort of precision? And we have stats to say not necessarily. He did get better in 2018, but I look at the full season of 2017 because it is the larger sample size, and that's kind of what I want to point you to now. Now, Jalen Hurts was excellent over the middle of the field with the intermediate passing game, right? Particularly in the center of the field and to his left, to the left, let's call it hash marks to sideline, right? He's 11 of 17 for 282 yards. This comes from College Football Film Room, which you should follow on Twitter. And he was 11 of 18 to the far left side of that field in intermediate passing. So really good, no picks, 4 TDs. This is 2017. You look at that same chart, he really does have a problem throwing to the left side of the field with really shallow routes and really deep routes. The shallow routes, he's 16 of 29 for 129 with 1 TD and an INT. That's 55% for passes that are 0 to 9 yards to his left. And you're going, all right, that's odd. And then you look to the intermediate on the right side of the field, which is your, not your deep outs, but your out routes, right? Your 10 to 20 yards, your intermediate. Dude's 10 to 22 for 173 yards with 3 TDs, no picks. Still, that's a 45% completion percentage. So if you're asking Jalen Hurts to throw an intermediate right route to his left, on the left side of the hash mark, or on the right side of the hash mark, and he's in the center of the field, perhaps that's a little fraught with peril, and you don't know what you're going to get. So think about those while we're going forward, and I want you to just have that in the back of your head. Now, think about that he's not really great throwing to his right deep. That's past 20 yards. He was 7 of 19 for 300 yards over the course of the season with a TD. 37% on passes of 20 yards or more, basically down the right sideline. Okay? Now you get to the middle of the field, things that are posts, things that are seams that are right up the middle that are splitting safeties. He's 6'8" for 227 with 2 TDs, 75%. That's really, really good. That's excellent. You want to get those routes into the formation, into the playbook for him. Formation. What the hell are you talking about, RJ? But this is the stat. This is the metric. This is the advanced film review charting that. This is where you get to find out how to pick apart a quarterback, and this is what you get to find out about Jalen Hurts if you are just going through his throws. And in 2017, he was 0 for 12, throwing 20 yards or more down the left side of the sideline, between the hash mark and the sideline. The dude has a really tough time throwing to his left. And throwing to his left intermediately, he's okay. He ain't great. Throwing the shallow routes, he sucks. Throwing the deep route, he was abysmal. Now, this is 2017, all right? We know that in 2018, he didn't really get the number of snaps, and he certainly didn't get the number of attempts. But what he did get to do, he did very well. Now, in Lincoln Riley's system, this is going to be interesting. This is going to be interesting because in Lincoln Riley's system, in the pro raid that is run out of Oklahoma, you do throw all the routes. You throw every route on the tree. And particularly, you beat a lot of people with guys like Hollywood Brown last year, Charleston Rambo this year, and CeeDee Lamb for the last couple of years just running by people. All right? There's really not a whole lot else to that except maybe the stop route, maybe the end. And then you get your seam matchups with your tight end, with Grant Calcaterra, with Lee Morris, and probably with Austin Stogner. And that, I think, is one of the reasons why we're probably not going to see a whole lot of the H receiver unless Nick Basquin proves to be just essential to what you're doing, and you need that guy. You need his shiftiness because I got to believe you want a big-bodied inside receiver, especially if you know that Jalen Hurts is really good over the middle of the field, intermediately and deep. It means your tight ends could be out there feasting. I do, however, believe that the X receiver position, which is the CeeDee Lamb position, or has been, is the one where we're going to get to see whether or not Jalen Hurts has made the most strides. I think it's really, really going to be interesting to see how much of that partnership is, excellent, is phenomenal, is as good as it seemed to be over spring break when those dudes were out throwing passes to each other. And we got film of Jalen Hurts throwing a deep ball to CeeDee Lamb, and it looked really good. We didn't get film of Jalen Hurts throwing a deep ball to CeeDee Lamb against top-level Big 12 competition. And no matter what you might think of the spring game and how good Jalen Hurts did look in it, I think if you were able to pin Jalen Hurts into throwing in basically 3 quadrants on the field, you take away a lot of the throws that he's comfortable making. And if you're taking away a lot of throws he's comfortable making, you have more opportunities to pick him off. And I think this is knowledge that you need to keep in the back of your head over the course of summer and preseason camp, and especially when you start to see Oklahoma face defenses like Iowa State on November 9th, like Texas. You'll start to understand, hey, maybe it is that Jalen Hurts can't make that throw, or Dan Enos did a really good job setting him up to be reaching his final tutor, in college at least, in Lincoln Riley. And we're also going to get to see how good Lincoln Riley is once again. Nobody is saying that Lincoln Riley is not one of the better, the best quarterback coach in college football today and the best play caller in football today. But we're also going to see what it takes, really, to be great at Oklahoma, and whether or not Jalen Hurts has all those tools. All right, that's it for me. Deuces.